Lately I felt broken and askew, but every day with you made me feel brand new. Lately I felt broken and askew. Take my hand, I'll repair and pull through. Lately I felt broken and askew, but every day with you made me feel brand new. A robot's remedy. The love brought clarity. A robot's remedy. And so sought endlessly. A robot's remedy. The love brought clarity. How do I spell defeat? To be honest, I'd just rather not spell it or yell it over and over again. Disappointment does not spell defeat. I'll land on my feet. Disappointment does not spell defeat. I'll land on my feet. So I'm ready to help them now. One last time, rapid climb. I'm ready, so ask me how. One more time, it's showtime. It's lifetime, full time, meantime. One time turns into part time, pastime, quick time. Clock goes fast. I'm out of time. In downtime, get up time. Better find my way. My way home. My way home. A robot's remedy. The love brought clarity. A robot's remedy.
Glad you're okay.
And so sought endlessly.
No one could ever replace you.
Lately I felt broken and askew, but every day with you made me feel brand new.
Jeez.
Lately I felt broken and askew. Take my hand, I'll repair and pull through. Lately I felt broken and askew, but every day with you made me feel brand new.
Tell them I'm sorry I couldn't fix everything or make their lives better, but every day with them made me feel brand new.
This persisting heaviness feels like pouring rain. Why must you persist? Oh, heaviness feels like pouring rain. Holding up this weight, this weight might break. This weight might break me. I I stopped answering calls, had to get more involved with finding myself. I'm two hands away from flowers at my funeral. Here lies the main. I'm two hands away from eulogies, but I don't wanna die today. It would say he's too young to be a martyr. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma. Never trusted him unless it was his father. Hope it's true what they said about karma. Cause I'm a degenerate and my meds don't work. I'm always skipping school cause Jack is on my shirt. I yacked up cause my liver only keeps getting so worse. And I act up cause all my friends keep taking rides and it hurts. So fuck church, I'm hurt, that burnt, need more paranoid. Don't lose faith in me, boy, I'm annoyed. I avoid and I'm sorry that I toyed with your heart. We apart, now I'm hurt and that burnt. I need more, give me more or I'll die. I'm afraid I won't survive and I tried, fuck I tried. Now I'm lying on the street, need a ride to get high. I can't stand being me, need a ride to get high. I can't stand being me. Fuck. Persisting feels like pouring rain. Why must you persist? Oh, heaviness feels like pouring rain. Holding up this weight might break. This weight might break. Look, I create to distract myself from the fact that when I look at myself, I avoid eye contact. I feel like I overreact, overact, worried to death of the traits that I lack. Get rid of these flashbacks. I didn't ask to go back. Stand back and look back at all of my setbacks. So many times I have turned back to kick that, grabbed onto my drawbacks and come back to cut back. But how can the stats act like me cut back when I keep all of my drawbacks in my backpack? Like a bunch of fucking useless knickknacks. I'm sure I'll bounce back. But for now, guess I'll just hang back. I feel this, I see. Eyes have been telling calls. Had to get involved with finding myself. Two highs away. It's like pouring rain. Holding up this weight might break. This weight might break me. But I don't wanna die today. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma. He's too young to be a martyr. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma. Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the toll. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. adventure. Oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. Hey, what's shaking, lads and ladies? Hey, what's up, Coleman? I'm glad to see you here. Aye, aye. Heck yeah. Sorry. Let me scooch over a little bit. Uh, May and P-Dubs, heck, it's good to have you all here, and, I hope you're ready for an earlier stream. Let's go. There be a Mitch. You watched the first VOD. Man, oh man. I don't know. I haven't taken a look at that one in ages. Just so you know, that first one is legitimately the first one I'd ever done. Oh, that's right. Dude, I'd forgotten about that. I had this weird glitch with my microphone back then where I had the sample rates of my headphones and the microphone at different sample rates, and for some reason that pitches down your voice. I had no freaking clue. But regardless, that was one of the first technical difficulties I had come across. Funny, dude. I'm glad you brought that back up. Haven't thought about that in ages. Yeah, my voice was like... It sounded like it was coming through a voice disguise filter. My apologies for that, P-Dubs. That's why I'm thinking eventually, like in the history of, or in the future of the channel, I'd like to do re-recordings of the first book, at least. Or at least like the first half of the first book. In the Percy Jackson series. I don't doubt it. And I legitimately had no clue until Coleman said something. It was like, hey Mitch, did you mean to have your voice pitched down like that, or and dude, my face immediately went flush, and I was like, excuse me? Excuse me? I did not mean to do that. My voice was what now? Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Heck yeah. Those were good times. I appreciate that, P-Dubs. Yeah, because I think we figured it out like halfway through the stream. And my voice was...
My voice sounded a little something like this. It sounded like way down here. So just imagine like the first half of a stream, a Merry Mitch stream, like normal talking, like just how I normally talk, but just with with this filter over it.
Wild stuff. Very wild. Oh man. Yeah, but to give you an idea of how my day was, it was good, but it was really genuinely a recovery day. Yesterday, part of my problem was that I had to be up early, and I stayed up till like 5 a.m., which I'm not used to being sleep deprived, and I don't think anyone should get used to that. So I was running on like 3 or 4 hours of sleep that day.
And so, of course, I don't know what I expected, but I went to bed at a better hour last night, but I wound up sleeping through half the day anyways. So my sleep has been really messed up recently, which is definitely like sapping my motivation in a lot of ways, but that I'm trying to accept that today was a much needed rest day. Sleeping is important. I wouldn't say sadly. It's an important thing, and it's a really good thing. Our bodies need rest, and it's a good thing to give our bodies that rest. And when I get to bed at good hours and keep to a good sleep schedule, I wind up feeling better and with more energy, more drive, all that stuff. Indeed, today was better than yesterday so far. Yeah. I had planned to do a couple of other things today, but they did not get done. So, I suppose I'll be trying to get those things done tomorrow or Thursday. Yeah, I try to get at least 7 to 8 hours a night. That's my need. Eight is like right around where is like the best for me. 'Cause it's not too much sleep, it's not too little, just the right amount. Yeah, man. I don't know. Whew, sleeping, dude. I haven't run into like troubles with sleep in a long time. I've had like little bouts where like I go to bed a little bit later than I normally want to, but I'm able to switch it back to a solid schedule pretty quick normally. Can I make the chat slightly darker? Oh, shoot. Yeah, dude. I'd be happy to. Whoa. Let me see. Is that a little bit better? I might want to put something behind it too, though. Let's go to the properties. Let's see, would changing the font color be better? Oh, no. Nope, definitely not. I didn't realize that would get rid of the chat entirely. Ah, okay. Let's bring up the font size as well a wee bit. All right. Nice. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I've been trying to figure out like my layout, been readjusting things and switching up how my layout looks a little bit recently. For instance, the box here is bigger. And chat is over that away. I know, I didn't realize that. Sorry, if I edit certain things in like in the settings for it, it definitely erases just everything that's already up there. So I apologize. It's when I go into the properties instead of the filters. But have no fear. Nice, that does look a lot better. Heck. It even has like a little bit of a shadow underneath it, I think. The chat dipped. It went. Whoop. See ya. Meow. And are you named Mitch or Mitchell? My given name is Mitchell. Yeah, but I've been going by Mitch for a while now. Growing up though, like my years from childhood to to late teens, people called me Mitchell. I went by Mitchell. Honestly, you can call me either one though. But I liked the sound of Mary Mitch a little better than Mary Mitchell. Or you could call me what my dad used to call me. He had a couple. Call me Mitchy Mac Patty Whack. And the classic Mishmash Splish Splash. Such a good nickname, man. He called my sister Peanut. And I think Davis just got like the worst end of the nicknames. I just called him D most of the time. Oh wait, no, his was alright. It was D-Dog. D-Dog. D-Dog Davis Larrabee. Heck yeah. Yo. Mitchell, my main man. Trying to think. I think I just have yours as your name, sadly. But there's a few people on my phone that have that type of nickname. My sister is Annabeth, best sister ever. Mitchell, my main man. Shoot. That's freaking adorable. Heck, man. Heck. Yo, I'm a little bit frustrated. I don't know if you'd be able to see this. But do you see how in the corner there? Yeah. Those few pages are like folded on the corners. They're folded just on the corners and in that small section. I don't know how it wound up like that, but I'm very upset. I'm gonna try to unfold them. Come on, book. I guess it's just adding to the well-loved nature of the book. Yeah, it just means it's more well-loved. I remember last night, this might be a little bit of a TMI, but I don't know if I was just getting really into the reading, or if my hands were just unusually warm that day or yesterday. But I realized that when I went to go like turn one of the pages, this part of my hand hit the book, and the sweat literally soaked the page. Again, this might be a TMI, but I've never had that happen on a stream before, like where my hand sweats so much that it soaks the previous page we were on. Holy crap. I know, and it wrinkled it slightly too. Sad stuff, man. F's in chat. Indeed. I'm at all times either a immensely like frigid icebox boy, or I am a clammy, sweaty boy. There is no in between for me, as it has always been. That's what people have told me throughout the years, that either I'm just super duper cold, like frigid, like an icebox boy, or yeah, I'm clammy. I like that word to describe like being sweaty, clammy. Where did that even come from, dude? Clammy hands. Is it 'cause like clams are slimy? Is that why? I can only imagine. Clams are moist? Clammy? Yeah, have you never heard that expression? Clammy hands? If one has clammy hands, it means they're cold and sweaty. What? May? What's even a clam? May, come on. Hang on. I will show you. Oh, what the heck? Why is that resolution awful? Okay, we'll have to bear with the resolution. This is a clam. This is actually a famous clam, known as Alexander Clam Bell. You might have heard of him before. They're a proud bunch of of seashells. Never ever, but it's actually a rad word. Yeah, a clam is yeah, it's this thing like it's that thing that has pearls in it that you find deep in the ocean. Clams are pretty rad. I agree. So yes, that is a clam. And that's our lesson for today. Thank you all for coming. Almea. Wasn't there a cartoon clam with pink hair? Shoot, I don't doubt that there is one of those out there. Yes, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope it's clearer now what clams are and aren't. I like the idea of a TED Talk where legitimately it's about a minute long. The dude just walks up like with a PowerPoint up on the screen. He just like clicks a button and says, "So, for all of you wondering, this is a clam." Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming to my TED Talk and have an awesome day. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to make that big of a deal out of it. But I'm genuinely surprised. I don't know. I've for the first time come across a person that didn't know what a clam was. My assumption is you knew what, like, 'cause what is clam in Spanish? What's the word for clam in Spanish? Almea. Ah, gotcha. Oh, shoot, that's why you put that in chat. Gotcha. But it makes sense. Like, you knew what the thing was, just not the word for it in English. In English. Yeah. For instance, I had no idea what Almeja meant. It goes vice versa. It goes both words. Or it goes both ways. Yeah, Almeja. I like that word. Almeja. What is hand in Spanish? Mano. Almeja de mano. That's the best I can do. I think that means like clam of hand. It's my best translation. I had Spanish down fairly well once upon a time. Worked in a kitchen for a brief period of my life. I tried to learn a little more Spanish for it. Mi amigos en la cocina. Big lol. Almeja de mano. Well, guys, I'm gonna be trying to get through, or not get through, but read through 5 chapters tonight. So let's go ahead and get on with this recap, and then we'll jump into the story. So last we left off, in the beginning of this new series, set in the same universe as the Percy Jackson series, we are met with the perspective of a guy, in his mid-teens, named Jason, waking up on a bus, holding hands with a very beautiful, Cherokee, half white girl, and without knowing who he is, where he is, what he's meant to do, or how he even got there. So confused, Piper and Leo, he finds out, is the girl and guy that are most near to him, and his closest friends, apparently. Think he's joking at first when he says, guys, I don't know you. I don't even know who I am. But they soon come to realize that, man, he's not faking it. He really doesn't know who we are. Hey, right on. Hope to see you then, May. So after coming to terms with that, Leo gives him a crash course in where he is and what's going on. Still kind of in a joking manner, though. Still believing that maybe this is still a joke. But Leo explains, hey, we are here at the Wilderness School. A place where delinquents and people whose parents or caretakers don't want them anymore get sent off to study, and it's where all the bad eggs go, so to speak. And they are currently on one of their field trips, this time to visit the Grand Canyon. The field trip is led by this guy, Coach Hedge, who is a stout, beefy man, with his brim pulled close over his eyes, over his beady eyes, and just a very coach mentality. That is Rain. I don't know. I like to have a little bit of ambience in my streams. So I added in a little pitter patter in an effort to, I don't know, make the streams a little more cozy and a little more laid back. On the horror nights, I add in a little more of a creepy ambience. But yeah, it is rain. So, once they make it to the bridge that goes over the Grand Canyon, with, a glass portion in the middle where you can walk over and see straight down into the canyon, Jason, realizes and finally decides to go talk with Coach Hedge, because Coach Hedge has been giving him these odd glares this whole time. When he goes to speak with Coach Hedge seems to be talking nonsense. He says, "Yeah, that's right, I don't know you. Like, where did you come from? Why are you here? Are you the special package," he keeps saying, "that was meant to be sent here?" And, Coach Hedge says something about, like, monsters and half-bloods and, these weird phrases and terms that sparks a pain in the back of Jason's mind, as though something should be there in his brain that isn't. Memories or thoughts or things that he should know that he just can't seem to remember. Soon enough, as Coach Hedge says, at least, like, nothing has gone wrong yet. Or he says something along the lines of, "Man, at least, like, at least we haven't, like, seen any monsters yet." At that exact moment, as a storm cloud is brewing above them, legitimately just above them and the bridge, with the rest of the skies as clear as can be, Dylan, the dingus, the absolute dunderhead who was hitting on Piper, turns out to be a Venti, or Venti, otherwise known as a storm spirit. This entity that seems to be made out of storm clouds, with crackling, energy coming from his eyes, and a wicked grin, with teeth as white as a shining star. Dylan reveals his true form, and a battle ensues, where Leo is flung, off the side of off of the bridge, left hanging for his dear life on the side of the cliff. Coach Hedge goes to rescue him as Jason gets struck in the chest with a bolt of lightning that shoots down through his body and knocks off his left shoe, leaving his left foot a sooty mess. He instinctually takes out a coin that he had found in his pocket, flips it, and all of a sudden, when it returns to his hand, he is holding a sword made entirely of gold. With the sword in hand, he manages to take out the two Venti that were helping Dylan, the main one, and fight Dylan off for long enough for Coach Hedge to return. Once Dylan realizes, oh gosh, things aren't exactly going my way, he decides to grab one of the demigods and get out of there while he has the chance. So, with Leo unconscious on the ground, he says, "This one will do," and he grabs him up and starts floating up into the vortex of clouds above them. Meanwhile, Piper got flung over the side of the bridge and wasn't as lucky as Leo to grab onto the side of the cliff, but instead was knocked over the side in the middle of the bridge and is now falling the 500 feet down to the canyon's bottom. Coach Hedge yells to Jason, "Go get her, like, go. I'll take care of, getting Leo back. You just go get her." And Coach Hedge leaps into the air to wrestle with the Ventai. So Leo is returned safely, relatively safely, kind of dumped like a sack of potatoes. Coach Hedge is lifted off into the clouds with the Ventai, and Jason leaps over the side of the bridge and dives headfirst towards Piper to save her. He really didn't know what he was doing, and he essentially just thought, "Oh wow, I've managed to get myself killed along with Piper. Good stuff." But he catches up to her, holds her in his arms, and wishes desperately that they would never hit the bottom. And suddenly, the wind stops rushing through their hair. The sides of the cliffs are stationary instead of rolling past like a film. On fast forward, and he realizes that they are flying. Sort of, pseudo-flying. The wind currents underneath them are holding them aloft. So, not understanding what was going on, he considers his luck to be immense and brings Piper and himself back up to the bridge to check on Leo. Leo seems to be relatively okay, though a little bit dazed and upset and confused, scared. And with the bridge starting to crack and the support starting to loosen after all the hubbub and commotion, from the sky comes a chariot pulled by 2 Pegasi. Annabeth and her companion at the time, Butch, show up in this in this chariot, and greet Jason, Piper, and Leo at least Annabeth did, in a very hostile manner. Annabeth immediately saying, asking questions, saying, "Where is he? Where is he? And where's Coach Hedge? Like, what happened?" Holding a knife to Jason's throat the whole time. Butch points out that, "Hey, Annabeth, look at his feet." Annabeth looks and says, No, this can't be. This isn't the guy. This isn't him. Like, this can't be the thing that was foretold, or the sign that she was told would show, whatever she's looking for, would give her the answer to her problem, is what they said. It's found out that Butch is the son of Iris, the goddess of messages and rainbows, which Leo finds hilarious. And soon enough, there's not really enough time to talk, so they get in the chariot and fly off. They're pursued by the Ventai briefly, and things look a little bit hairy for them, because the wheel comes off just as they're arriving over Long Island Sound, and they crash land into the water. Turns out that people crash into Long Island Sound more often than not. so there's a team of half-bloods that come to help them out, as well as the naiads of Long Island Sound, helping them to get out of the water get back onto shore so that they can have a talk. Jason, throughout all of this, has been mentioning, things that he ought not to know about Greek mythology, except in the Roman counterpart. He mentioned, hey, those were Venti back there. And Annabeth says, no, those are, the Greek equivalent. Why do you know that those are Venti? And he's been mentioning, anytime something odd has appeared that we would know as something from Greek mythology, Jason has recognized it from Roman mythology. Very strange, very odd. And when they finally have a chance to talk, after they're dried off from Long Island Sound and safe, Annabeth realizes that on Jason's arm is a branding. SPQR. A lot of vertical lines and an eagle, seemingly branded into his arm. Everyone looks at that almost as though it's a declaration of war. And Annabeth says, Jason needs to go see Chiron now. And so, Jason is lugged away by Drew, the daughter of Aphrodite, another new character, to go meet with Chiron, and Piper and Annabeth are about to have a talk. Also, Leo has been claimed. He is, in fact, Hephaestus' son. Which is pretty cool. Makes sense, right? He's real good with his hands and is always fidgeting with stuff and creating stuff. And yeah, with Annabeth saying, Piper, come on, I'll give you the tour. We need to talk. That is where we left off. We will continue on to chapter 4. So, everybody ready for story time? Alright, well, settle in. Go ahead and get yourself cozy and comfy. Again, P-dubs. Too smart for your own good. We'll find out. We'll find out. There's also the evidence that he was able to fly and control the wind currents. But I think you might be on the right track. Okay, guys. This is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. 4. Piper. Piper soon realized Annabeth's heart wasn't in the tour. She talked about all this amazing stuff the camp offered. Magic archery, Pegasus riding, the lava wall, fighting monsters, but she showed no excitement, as if her mind were elsewhere. She pointed out to the open-air dining pavilion that overlooked Long Island Sound. Yes, Long Island, New York. They traveled that far on the chariot. Annabeth explained how Camp Half-Blood was mostly a summer camp, but some kids stayed here year-round. And they'd added so many campers, it was always crowded now, even in winter. Piper wondered who ran the camp, and how they'd known Piper and her friends belonged here. She wondered if she'd have to stay full-time, or if she'd be any good at the activities. Could you flunk out of monster fighting? A million questions bubbled in her head, but given Annabeth's mood, she decided to keep quiet. As they climbed a hill at the edge of camp, Piper turned and got an amazing view of the valley. A big stretch of woods to the northwest, a beautiful beach, the creek, the canoe lake, lush green fields, and the whole layout of the cabins. A bizarre assortment of buildings arranged like a Greek omega, with a loop of cabins around a central green, and two wings sticking out the bottom on either side. Piper counted 20 cabins in all. One glowed golden, another silver. One had grass on the roof. Another was bright red with barbed wire trenches. One cabin was black with fiery green torches out front. All of it seemed like a different world from the snowy hills and fields outside.
The valley is protected from mortal eyes, Annabeth said. As you can see, the weather is controlled, too. Each cabin represents a Greek god. A place for that god's children to live.
She looked at Piper like she was trying to judge how Piper was handling the news.
You're saying my mom was a goddess?
Annabeth nodded.
You're taking this awfully calmly.
Piper couldn't tell her why. She couldn't admit that this just confirmed some weird feelings she'd had for years. Arguments she'd had with her father about why there were no photos of Mom in the house, and why Dad would never tell her exactly how or why her mom had left them. But mostly, the dream had warned her this was coming. "Soon they will find you, demigod," that voice had rumbled. "When they do, follow our directions. Cooperate, and your father might live." Piper took a shaky breath.
I guess after this morning, it's a little easier to believe. You know, so who's my mom? We should know soon,
Annabeth said.
You're what, 15? Gods are supposed to claim you when you're 13. That was the deal. The deal? They made a promise last summer. Well, long story. But they promised not to ignore their demigod children anymore. To claim them by the time they turn 13. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but you saw how fast Leo was claimed once he got here. Should happen for you soon. Tonight at the campfire. I bet we'll get a sign.
Piper wondered if she'd have a big flaming hammer over her head. Or with her luck, something even more embarrassing. A flaming wombat, maybe? Whoever her mom was, Piper had no reason to think she'd be proud to claim a kleptomaniac daughter with massive problems.
Why 13? The older you get,
Annabeth said,
the more monsters notice you.
try to kill you.
Round 13 is usually when it starts. That's why we send protectors into the schools to find you guys. Get you to camp before it's too late. Like Coach Hedge?
Annabeth nodded.
He's He was a satyr. Half man, half goat. Satyrs work for the camp, find demigods, protecting them, bringing them in when the time is right.
Piper had no trouble believing Coach Hedge was half goat. She'd seen the guy eat. She'd never liked the coach much, but she couldn't believe he'd sacrificed himself to save them. Not by choice, P-dubs. Not by choice.
What happened to him? She asked. When we went up into the clouds, did he... is he gone for good? Hard to say.
Annabeth's expression was pained.
Storm spirits. Difficult to battle. Even our best weapons, celestial bronze, will pass right through them unless you can catch them by surprise. Jason's sword just turned them to dust.
Piper remembered.
He was lucky, then. If you hit a monster just right, you can dissolve them. Send their essence back to Tartarus. Tartarus? A huge abyss in the underworld, where the worst monsters come from. Kind of like a bottomless pit of evil. Anyway, once monsters dissolve, it usually takes months, even years before they can reform again. But since this storm spirit Dylan got away, well, I don't know why he'd keep Hedge alive. Hedge was a protector, though. He knew the risks. Satyrs don't have mortal souls. He'll be reincarnated as a tree or a flower or something.
Piper tried to imagine Coach Hedge as a clump of very angry pansies. That made her feel even worse. She gazed at the cabins below, and an uneasy feeling settled over her. Hedge had died to get her here safely. Her mom's cabin was down there somewhere, which meant she'd have brothers and sisters. More people she'd have to betray. "Do what we tell you," the voice had said, "or the consequences will be painful." She tucked her hands under her arms, trying to stop them from shaking.
It'll be okay,
Annabeth promised.
you have friends here. We've all been through a lot of weird stuff. We know what you're going through.
I doubt that, Piper thought.
I've been kicked out of 5 different schools the past 5 years, she said. My dad's running out of places to put me. Only 5? Only 5?
Annabeth didn't sound like she was teasing.
Oh, only 5?
Annabeth didn't sound like she was teasing.
Piper, we've all been labeled troublemakers. I ran away from home when I was 7. Seriously? Oh yeah. Most of us are diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, or dyslexia, or both. Leo's ADHD,
Piper said.
Right. It's because we're hardwired for battle. Restless, impulsive. We don't fit in with regular kids. You should hear how much trouble Percy... You should hear how much trouble Percy...
Her face darkened.
Anyway, demigods get a bad rep. How do you get in trouble?
Usually, when someone asked that question, Piper started a fight, or changed the subject, or caused some kind of distraction. But for some reason, she found herself telling the truth.
I steal stuff,
She said.
well, not really steal. Is your family poor?
Piper laughed bitterly.
Not even. I did it. I don't know why. For attention, I guess. My dad never had time for me unless I got in trouble.
Annabeth nodded.
I can relate. But you said you didn't really steal? What do you mean? Well, nobody ever believes me. The police, teachers, even the people I took stuff from. They're so embarrassed, they'll deny what happened. But the truth is, I don't steal anything. I just ask people for things. And they give me stuff. Even a BMW convertible. I just asked. And the dealer said, "Sure, take it." Later, he realized what he'd done, I guess. Then the police came after me.
Piper waited. She was used to people calling her a liar. But when she looked up, Annabeth just nodded.
Interesting. Interesting. If your dad were the god, I'd say you're a child of Hermes, god of thieves. He can be pretty convincing, but your dad is mortal. Very.
Piper agreed. Annabeth shook her head, apparently mystified.
I don't know then. With luck, your mom will claim you tonight.
Piper almost hoped it wouldn't happen. If her mom were a goddess, wouldn't she know about that dream? Would she know what Piper had been asked to do? Piper wondered if Olympian gods ever blasted their kids with lightning for being evil, or grounded them in the underworld. Annabeth was studying her. Piper decided she was going to have to be careful what she said from now on. Annabeth was obviously pretty smart. If anyone could figure out Piper's secret.
Come on.
Annabeth said at last.
There's something else I need to check.
They hiked a little further until they reached a cave near the top of the hill. Bones and old swords littered the ground. Torches flanked the entrance, which was covered in a velvet curtain embroidered with snakes. It looked like the set for some kind of twisted puppet show.
What's in there?
Piper asked. Annabeth poked her head inside, then sighed. Oh, inside, then sighed and closed the curtains.
Nothing, right now. A friend's place. I've been expecting her for a few days, but so far, nothing. Your friend lives in a cave?
Annabeth almost managed to smile.
Actually, her family has a luxury Her family has a luxury condo in Queens, and she goes to a finishing school in Connecticut. But when she's here at camp, yeah, she lives in a cave. She's our oracle. Tells the future. I was hoping she could help me. Find Percy,
Piper guessed. All the energy drained out of Annabeth. like she'd been holding it together for as long as she could. She sat down on a rock, and her expression was so full of pain, Piper felt like a voyeur. She forced herself to look away. Her eyes drifted to the crest of the hill, where a single pine tree dominated the skyline. Something glittered in its lowest branch, like a fuzzy gold bath mat. No, not a bath mat. It was a sheep's fleece. Okay, Piper thought. Greek camp. They've got a replica of the golden fleece. Then she noticed the base of the tree. At first, she thought it was wrapped in a pile of massive purple cables, but the cables had reptilian scales, clawed feet, and a snake-like head, which had yellow eyes and smoking nostrils. That's a dragon, she stammered. That's the actual golden fleece? Annabeth nodded, but it was clear she wasn't really listening. Her shoulders drooped. She rubbed her face and took a shaky breath. Sorry. A little tired. You look ready to drop, Piper said. How long have you been searching for your boyfriend? 3 days, 6 hours, and about 12 minutes. And you've got no idea what happened to him. Annabeth shook her head miserably. We were so excited because we both started winter break early. We met up at camp on Tuesday. Figured we had 3 weeks together. It was going to be great. Then after the campfire, he kissed me goodnight, went back to his cabin, and in the morning, he was gone. We searched the whole camp. We contacted his mom. We tried to reach him every way we knew how. Nothing. He just disappeared. Piper was thinking. 3 days ago, the same night she'd had her dream. How long were you guys together? Since August, Annabeth said. August 18th. Almost exactly when I met Jason, Piper said. But we've only been together a few weeks. Annabeth winced. Piper, about that. Maybe you should sit down. Piper knew where this was going. Panic started building inside her, like her lungs were filling with water. Look, I know Jason thought... He thought he just appeared at our school today, but that's not true. I know him, and I've known him for 4 months. Piper... Annabeth said sadly. Piper... It's the mist. Mist... Mist what? M-I-S-T. It's a kind of veil separating the mortal world from the magic one. Mortal minds, they can't process strange stuff like gods and monsters. So the mist bends reality. It makes mortals see things in a way that they can understand. Like their eyes might just skip over this valley completely. Or they might look at that dragon and see a pile of cables. Piper swallowed. No,
You said yourself I'm not a regular mortal. I'm a demigod. Even demigods can be affected. I've seen it lots of times. Monsters infiltrate some place like a school, pass themselves off as human, and everyone thinks they remember that person. They believe he's always been around. The mist can change memories. Even create memories of things that never happened. But Jason's not a monster, Piper insisted. He's a human guy, or demigod, or whatever you want to call him. My memories aren't fake. They're so real. The time we set Coach Hedges' pants on fire. The time Jason and I watched a meteor shower on the dorm roof, and I finally got the stupid guy to kiss me. She found herself rambling, telling Annabeth about her whole semester at Wilderness School. She'd liked Jason from the first week they'd met. He was so nice to her, and so patient. He could even put up with hyperactive Leo and his stupid jokes. He'd accepted her for herself and didn't judge her because of the stupid things she'd done. They'd spent hours talking, looking at the stars, and eventually, finally, holding hands. All that couldn't be fake. Annabeth pursed her lips. Piper, your memories are a lot sharper than most. I'll admit that. And I don't know why that is. But if you know him so well... I do. Then where is he from? Piper felt like she'd been hit between the eyes. He must have told me, but... Did you ever notice his tattoo before today? Did he ever tell you anything about his parents, or his friends, or his last school? I don't know, but... Piper, what's his last name? Her mind went blank. She didn't know Jason's last name. How could that be? She started to cry. She felt like a total fool. But she sat down on the rock next to Annabeth and just fell to pieces. It was too much. Did everything that was good in her stupid, miserable life have to be taken away? Yes, the dream had told her. Yes. Until you do exactly what we say. Hey, Annabeth said. We'll figure it out. Jason's here now. Who knows? Maybe it'll work out with you guys, for real this time. Not likely, Piper thought. Not if the dream had told her the truth. But she couldn't say that. She brushed a tear from her cheek. You brought me up here so no one would see me blubbering, huh? Annabeth shrugged. I figured it would be hard for you. I know what it's like to lose your boyfriend. But I still can't believe... I know we had something. And now it's just gone? Like he doesn't even recognize me.
If he really did just show up today, then why? How did he get here? Why can't he remember anything? Good questions, Annabeth said. Hopefully Chiron can figure that out. But for now, we need to get you settled. You ready to go back now? You ready to go back down? Piper gazed at the crazy assortment of cabins in the valley. Her new home. A family who supposedly understood her. But soon, they'd just be another bunch of people she'd disappoint. Just another place she'd be kicked out of. You'll betray them for us, the voice had warned, or you will lose everything. Or you will lose everything. She didn't have a choice. Yeah, she lied. I'm ready. On the central green, a group of campers were playing basketball. They were incredible shots. Nothing bounced off the rim. 3-pointers went in automatically. Apollo's cabin, Annabeth explained. Bunch of show-offs with missile weapons. A bunch of show-offs with missile weapons. Arrows and basketballs included. They walked past a central fire pit, where 2 guys were hacking at each other with swords. Real blades? Piper noted. Isn't that dangerous? That's sort of the point, Annabeth said. Sorry. Bad pun. That's my cabin over there. Number 6. She nodded to a gray building with a carved owl over the door. Through the open doorway, Piper could see bookshelves, weapon displays, and one of those computerized smartboards they have in classrooms. 2 girls were drawing a map that looked like a battle diagram. Speaking of blades, Annabeth said, come here. She led Piper around the side of the cabin to a big metal shed that looked like it was meant for gardening tools. Annabeth unlocked it, and inside were not gardening tools, unless you wanted to make war on your tomato plants. The shed was lined with all sorts of weapons, from swords to spears to clubs like Coach Hedges. Every demigod needs a weapon, Annabeth said. Hephaestus makes the best, but we have a pretty good selection too. Athena's all about strategy, making the right weapon, matching the right weapon to the right person. Let's see, Piper didn't feel much like shopping for deadly objects, but she knew Annabeth was trying to do something nice for her. Annabeth handed her a massive sword, which Piper could hardly lift. No, they both said at once. Annabeth rummaged a little further in the shed and brought out something else. Is that a shotgun? Piper asked. Mossberg 500. Mossberg 500. Annabeth checked the pump action like it was no big deal. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt humans. It's modified to shoot celestial bronze, so it only kills monsters. I don't think that's my style, Piper said. Yeah, Annabeth agreed. Too flashy. She put the shotgun back and started poking through a rack of crossbows, when something in the corner of the shed caught Piper's eye. "What is that?" she asked. "A knife?" Annabeth dug it out and blew the dust off the scabbard. It looked like it hadn't seen the light of day in centuries. I don't know, Piper." Annabeth sounded uneasy. I don't think you want this one. Swords are usually better." "You use a knife?" Piper pointed to the one strapped to Annabeth's belt. "Yeah? But..." Annabeth shrugged. "Well, take a look if you want." The sheath was worn black leather, bound in bronze. Nothing fancy, nothing flashy. The polished wood handle fit beautifully in Piper's hand. When she unsheathed it, she found a triangular blade, 18 inches long, bronze gleaming like it had been polished yesterday. The edges were deadly sharp. Her reflection in the blade caught her by surprise. She looked older, more serious, not as scared as she felt. "It suits you," Annabeth admitted. "That kind of blade is called a parazonium. It was mostly ceremonial, and carried by high-ranking officers in the Greek armies. It showed you were a person of power and wealth, but in a fight, it could protect you just fine." "I like it," Piper said. "Why didn't you think it was right?" Annabeth exhaled. "That blade has a long story. Most people would be afraid to claim it. Its first owner... well, things didn't turn out too well for her. Her name was Helen." Piper let that sink in. "Wait, you mean the Helen? Helen of Troy?" Annabeth nodded. Suddenly, Piper felt like she should be handling the dagger with surgical gloves. "And it's just sitting in your tool shed?" "We're surrounded by ancient Greek stuff," Annabeth said. "This isn't a museum. Weapons like that? They're meant to be used. They're our heritage as demigods. That was a wedding present from Menelaus, Helen's first husband. She named the dagger Catoptris. Meaning? Mirror, Annabeth said. Looking glass. Probably because that's the only thing Helen used it for. I don't think it's ever seen battle." Piper looked at the blade again. For a moment, her own image stared up at her. But then, the reflection changed. She saw flames and a grotesque face like something carved from bedrock. She heard the same laughter as in her dreams. She saw her dad in chains, tied to a post in front of a roaring bonfire. She dropped the blade. Clang, 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 clang. "Piper!" Annabeth shouted to the Apollo kids on the court. "Medic! I need some help over here!" No, it's okay," Piper managed. You sure? Yeah. I just... She had to control herself. With trembling fingers, she picked up the dagger. I just got overwhelmed. So much happening today. But,
I want to keep the dagger. If that's okay.
Annabeth hesitated, then waved off the Apollo kids.
Okay. If you're sure. You turned really pale. I thought you were having a seizure or something. I'm fine.
Piper promised, though her heart was still racing.
Is there, a phone at camp? Can I call my dad?
Annabeth's gray eyes were almost as unnerving as the dagger blade. She seemed to be calculating a million possibilities, trying to read Piper's thoughts.
We aren't allowed phones, she said. Most demigods, if they use a cell phone, it's like sending up a signal, letting monsters know where you are. But I've got one.
She slipped it out of her pocket.
Kind of against the rules, but if it can be our secret.
Piper took it gratefully, trying not to let her hands shake. She stepped away from Annabeth and turned to face the commons area. She called her dad's private line, even though she knew what would happen. Voicemail. She'd been trying for 3 days, ever since the dream. Wilderness School only allowed phone privileges once a day, but she'd called every evening and gotten nowhere. Reluctantly, she dialed the other number. Her dad's personal assistant answered immediately.
Mr. McLean's office.
Jane, Piper said, gritting her teeth.
Where's my dad?
Jane was silent for a moment, probably wondering if she could get away with hanging up.
Piper, I thought you weren't supposed to call from school. Maybe I'm not at school. Maybe I'm not at school, Piper said. Maybe I ran away to live among the woodland creatures. Mm-hmm.
Jane didn't sound concerned.
Well, I'll tell him you called. Where is he? Out? You don't know, do you?
Piper lowered her voice, hoping Annabeth was too nice to eavesdrop.
When are you going to call the police, Jane? He could be in trouble. Piper, we are not going to turn this into a media circus. I'm sure he's fine. He does take off occasionally. He always comes back. So it's true. You don't know. I have to go, Piper,
Jane snapped.
Enjoy school.
The line went dead. Piper cursed. She walked back to Annabeth and handed her the phone.
No luck?
Annabeth asked. Piper didn't answer. She didn't trust herself not to start crying again. Annabeth glanced at the phone display and hesitated.
Your last name is McLean? Sorry, it's not my business, but that sounds really familiar. Common name? Yeah? I guess. What does your dad do? He's got a degree in the arts,
Piper said automatically.
He's a Cherokee artist.
Her standard response. Not a lie, just not the whole truth. Most people, when they heard that, figured her dad sold Indian souvenirs at a roadside stand on a reservation. Sitting bull bobbleheads, wampum necklaces, Big Chief tablets. think that's meant to be selling. Selling bowl bobbleheads, wampum necklaces, Big Chief tablets, that kind of thing. Oh. Annabeth didn't look convinced, but she put the phone away. You feeling okay? Want to keep going? Piper fastened her dagger to her belt and promised herself that later, when she was alone, she'd figure out how it worked. Sure, she said. I want to see everything. All the cabins were cool, but none of them struck Piper as hers. No burning signs, wombats or otherwise, appeared over her head. Cabin 8 was entirely silver and glowed like moonlight. Artemis? Piper guessed. You know Greek mythology, Annabeth said. I did some reading when my dad was working on a project last year. I thought he did Cherokee art. Piper bit back a curse. Oh, right. But, you know, he does other stuff too. Piper thought she'd blown it. McLean, Greek mythology. Thankfully, Annabeth didn't seem to make the connection. Anyway, Annabeth continued, Artemis is goddess of the moon, goddess of hunting, but no campers. Artemis was an eternal maiden, so she doesn't have any kids. Oh, that kind of bummed Piper out. She'd always liked the stories of Artemis, and figured she would make for a cool mom. Well, there are the hunters of Artemis, Annabeth amended. They visit sometimes. They're not the children of Artemis, but they're her handmaidens. This band of immortal teenage girls who adventure together and hunt monsters and stuff. Piper perked up. That sounds cool. They get to be immortal? Unless they die in combat, or break their vows. Did I mention they have to swear off boys? No dating. Ever. For eternity. Oh, Piper said. Never mind. Annabeth laughed. For a moment, she looked almost happy, and Piper thought she'd be a cool friend to hang out with in better times. Forget it, Piper reminded herself. You're not going to make any friends here. Not once they find out. They passed the next cabin, number 10, which was decorated like a Barbie house with lace curtains, a pink door, and potted carnations in the windows. They walked by the doorway, and the smell of perfume almost made Piper gag. Ugh. Is that where supermodels go to die? Annabeth smirked. Aphrodite's cabin. Goddess of love. Drew is their head counselor. Figures, Piper grumbled. They're not all bad, Annabeth said. The last head counselor we had was great. Really great. What happened to her? Annabeth's expression darkened. We should keep moving. They looked at the other cabins, but Piper just got more depressed. She wondered if she could be the daughter of Demeter, the farming goddess. Then again, Piper killed every plant she ever touched. Athena was cool, or maybe Hecate, the magic goddess. But it didn't really matter. Even here, where everyone was supposed to find a lost parent, she knew she would still end up the unwanted kid. She was not looking forward to the campfire tonight. We started with the 12 Olympian gods, Annabeth explained. Male gods on the left, female on the right. Then last year, we added a whole bunch of new cabins for the other gods who didn't have thrones on Olympus. Hecate, Hades, Iris. What about the two big ones on the end? Piper asked. Annabeth frowned. Zeus and Hera. King and queen of the gods. Piper headed that way. And Athena followed, though she didn't act very excited. The Zeus cabin reminded Piper of a bank. It was white marble with big columns out front and polished bronze doors emblazoned with lightning bolts. Pardon me. Hera's cabin was smaller, but done in the same style. Heck, dude. Let me get some water. Let's see if that did the trick. Sorry, my voice is suddenly wanting to give up on me. What the heck? Yeesh. Come on, vocal cords. Hera's cabin was smaller, but done in the same style, except the doors were carved with peacock feather designs, shimmering in different colors. Unlike the other cabins, which were all noisy and open and full of activity, the Zeus and Hera cabins looked closed and silent. Are they empty? Piper asked. Annabeth nodded. Zeus went a long time without having any children. Well, mostly. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, the eldest brothers among the gods. They're called the Big Three. Their kids are really powerful, really dangerous. For the last 70 years or so, they tried to avoid having demigod children. Tried to avoid it? Sometimes they, cheated. Oh, sorry. Sometimes they, cheated? I've got a friend, Thalia, who's the daughter of Zeus. She gave up camp life and became a hunter of Artemis. My boyfriend, Percy, he's a son of Poseidon. And there's a kid who shows up sometimes, Nico, son of Hades. Except for them, there are no demigod children of the Big Three gods. At least, not that we know of. And Hera? And Hera? Piper looked at the peacock-decorated doors. The cabin bothered her, though she wasn't sure why. Goddess of marriage. Annabeth's tone was carefully controlled, like she was trying to avoid cursing. She doesn't have kids with anyone but Zeus. So yeah, no demigods. The cabin's just honorary. You don't like her, Piper noticed. We have a long history, Annabeth admitted. I thought we'd made peace, but when Percy disappeared, I got this weird dream vision from her. Telling you to come get us, Piper said, but you thought Percy would be there. It's probably better I don't talk about it. Annabeth said, I've got nothing good to say about Era right now. Piper looked down the base of the doors. So, who goes in there? No one. The cabin is just honorary, like I said. No one goes in. Someone does. Piper pointed at a footprint on the dusty threshold. On instinct, she pushed the doors, and they swung open easily. Annabeth stepped back. Piper? I don't think we should... We're supposed to do dangerous stuff, right? And Piper walked inside. Era's cabin was not some place Piper would want to live. It was as cold as a freezer, with a circle of white columns around a central statue of the goddess, 10 feet tall, seated on a throne in flowing golden robes. Again, P-dubs. You're clever. That one, I don't know. That notion, I genuinely don't know if it's right or not, but I think you could be onto something. Oh, snippity snap. Thank you, Park Gimbab. Gimbap. Is it Gimbap or Gimbap? Which do you prefer? Regardless of how it's pronounced, though, thank you, Park, for following. You have just joined the wildflowers of the Merry Memo. Not Merry Memo. The Merry Meadow. Pronounced like bop. Nice. Park Gimbap. Nice, that's how I wanted to pronounce it in the first place. I like it. Thank you, Park Gimbap. I hope you enjoy the story. Yeah, I was looking for a bit and didn't want the follow alert to interrupt story time. I actually have I have the follow alert set to just that that page flip sound specifically for that reason. Merry Memo is the new title. I mean, I suppose my announcements on Discord are all Merry Memos. I'm gonna do that for the next stream. Be like, yo guys, Merry Memo. Stream's starting up. Piper had always thought of Greek statues as white, with blank eyes, but this one was brightly painted, so it looked almost human. Except huge. Era's piercing eyes seemed to follow Piper. At the goddess's feet, a fire burned in a bronze brazier. Piper wondered who tended it, if the cabin was always empty. A stone hawk sat on Era's shoulder, and in her hand was a staff topped with a lotus flower. The goddess's hair was done in black plaits. Her face smiled, but the eyes were cold and calculating, as if she were saying, "Mother knows best. Now, don't cross me, or I will have to step on you." There was nothing else inside the cabin. No beds, no furniture, no bathroom, no windows, nothing that anyone could actually use to live. For a goddess of home and marriage, Era's place reminded Piper of a tomb. Hey, what's up, Lay? Welcome, welcome. Ah, and thank you, Park. Park Gimbap. I appreciate that. I feel my voice. I don't know. I like my voice too. I feel bad. I had a moment there where my voice was giving up. I believe it ought to be good though from here on. No, this wasn't her mom. At least Piper was sure of that. She hadn't come in here because she felt a good connection, but because her sense of dread was stronger here. Her dream, that horrible ultimatum she'd been handed, had something to do with this cabin. She froze. They weren't alone. Behind the statue, at a little altar in the back, stood a figure, covered in a black shawl. Only her hands were visible, palms up. She seemed to be chanting something like a spell or a prayer. Annabeth gasped. Rachel? The other girl turned. She dropped her shawl, revealing a mane of curly red hair and a freckled face that didn't go with the seriousness of the cabin, nor the black shawl at all. She looked about 17, a totally normal teen in a green blouse and tattered jeans covered with marker doodles. Despite the cold floor, she was barefoot. Hey! She ran to give Annabeth a hug. I'm so sorry. I came as fast as I could. They talked for a few minutes about Annabeth's boyfriend and how there was no news, etc. Until finally, Annabeth remembered Piper, who was standing there feeling uncomfortable. Fun fact, most of those old Greek statues were originally painted. They're just so old, the paint is gone and has faded. The ones made later in homage to them weren't painted because all anyone knew were the faded versions. Shoot, that's actually really neat. I didn't know that. Fun fact of the day, guys, brought to you by P-Dubs, our very own P-Dubs. Oh, I'm being rude, Annabeth apologized. Rachel, this is Piper, one of the half-bloods we rescued today. Piper, this is Rachel Elizabeth Dare, our oracle. The friend who lives in the cave, Piper guessed. Rachel grinned. That's me. So, you're an oracle? Piper asked. You can tell the future? More like the future mugs me from time to time, Rachel said. I speak prophecies. The oracle's spirit kind of hijacks me every once in a while and speaks important stuff that doesn't make any sense to anybody. But yeah, the prophecies tell the future. Oh. Piper shifted from foot to foot. That's cool. Rachel laughed. Don't worry, everybody finds it a little creepy. Even me. But usually, I'm harmless. You're a demigod? Nope, Rachel said. Just mortal. Then, what are you... Piper waved her hand around the room. Rachel's smile faded. She glanced at Annabeth, then back at Piper. Just a hunch. Something about this cabin and Percy's disappearance. They're connected somehow. I've learned to follow my hunches, especially the last month, since the gods went silent. Went silent? Piper asked. Rachel frowned at Annabeth. You haven't told her yet. I was getting to that, Annabeth said. Piper, for the last month, well, it's normal for the gods not to talk to their children very much, but usually we can count on some messages now and then. Some of us can even visit Olympus. I spent practically all semester at the Empire State Building. Excuse me? The entrance to Mount Olympus these days. Oh, Piper said. Sure. Why not? Annabeth was redesigning Olympus after it was damaged in the Titan War. Rachel explained. She's an amazing architect. You should see the salad bar and... Anyway, Annabeth said, starting about a month ago, Olympus fell silent. The entrance closed, and no one could get in. Nobody knows why. It's like the gods have sealed themselves off. Even my mom won't answer my prayers. And our camp director, Dionysus, was recalled. Your camp director was the god of... the god of wine? Yeah, it's a... long story, Piper guessed. Right. Go on. That's it, really, Annabeth said. Demigods still get claimed, but nothing else. No messages, no visits, no sign the gods are even listening. It's like something has happened. Something really bad. Then Percy disappeared. And Jason showed up on our field trip. Piper supplied, with no memory. Who's Jason? Rachel asked. Piper stopped herself before she could say boyfriend, but the effort made her chest hurt. My friend, but Annabeth, you said Era sent you a dream vision. Right, Annabeth said. The first communication from a god in months, and it's Era, the least helpful goddess, and she contacts me, her least favorite demigod. She tells me I'll find out what happened to Percy if I go to the Grand Canyon Skywalk and look for a guy with one shoe. Instead, I find you guys. And the guy with one shoe is Jason. It doesn't make sense. Something bad is happening, Rachel agreed. She looked at Piper, and Piper felt an overwhelming desire to tell them about her dream, to confess that she knew what was happening, at least part of the story. And the bad stuff was only beginning. Guys, she said, I need to... Before she could continue, Rachel's body stiffened. Her eyes began to glow with a greenish light, and she grabbed Piper by the shoulders. Piper tried to back away, but Rachel's hands were like steel clamps. Free me, she said, but it wasn't Rachel's voice. It sounded like an older woman, speaking from somewhere far away, down a long, echoing pipe. Free me, Piper McLean, or the earth shall swallow us. It must be by the solstice. The room started spinning. Annabeth tried to separate Piper from Rachel, but it was no use. Green smoke enveloped them, and Piper was no longer sure if she was awake or dreaming. The giant statue of the goddess seemed to rise from its throne. It leaned over Piper, its eyes boring into her. The statue's mouth opened, its breath like horribly thick perfume, is spoken the same echoing voice. Our enemies stir. The fiery one is only the first. Bow to his will, and their king shall rise, dooming us all. Free me! Piper's knees buckled, and everything went black. Ba-bum! Dang, that was only one chapter. That was a longer one. Ho! Good lord. Shoot, I was considering doing this little number. Free me! Piper McLean. Piper McLean. Free me! Free me! Piper! I considered doing that. But I figured this would happen. I'd start cracking up in the middle of it. Ooh. Ooh. Oh dear, that reverb is right. Oh gosh, dude. Dude, the way that they handle Piper's double agent status is so good. My voice might clear up a little bit if I take off the windscreen. But there may be more background noise. How's that? How do I sound? Do I sound even better, or do I sound worse? Sadly, I don't monitor my voice in my headphones, so it is hard for me to tell. What do you guys think? Better? Or worse? Worse. Small squint. I don't know what that means. Not much different. Okay. Right on. I'll check in the VOD after we're done to see if I can tell, if I can spot the difference. It also, I don't know, may have something to do with the filters I have on it as well. I may try to work with it a little bit. Hang on, real quick. It's gonna go silent for a second. Alright, now we're talking. Now my voice sounds as good as it can possibly be. I think I've solved every issue with my mic that I've ever had. And now my voice sounds perfect. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. Lol. Alrighty, guys. Let's go ahead and jump to the break. Oh God, I just went super out of focus there. My bad. What happened? Did I like do this maneuver? Psh. No, even when I do that, what makes it go out of focus? I really have no idea. Regardless, we're gonna jump to a little break. I'll be playing some of my music in and during the break. It's tea time, baby. I think I may actually go make myself some tea. Sick. Are you doing the same? Oh my gosh. My aura sends it out of focus. Just send like a wave that messes up all the frequencies, the electronics inside it. Thank you, Gimpop. But yeah, it is break time. So, as always, I encourage everybody to stand up during the break. Get your butt out of that seat. Stand up. Rise. And stretch out a little bit, you know? Maybe do a little groove, little dance. It's real good for your body. After we are sitting for eons in our chairs, it's really good to get up and legitimately stretch. Take a moment during the stretches, breathe in and out deeply, and it's a good thing to do for your body. So I highly recommend it. It's something I'm gonna do during the break too. So do that. Go grab any snacks, drinks, or anything else that you might desire for the next few chapters. And it is about 7:26 where I'm at now. So we will be back no later than 7:40. I'll allow myself a little extra time since I want to go make some tea and grab a snack. But yeah, we'll be back before you know it. Whoop. All right, cool beans. See you guys real soon. And yeah, hopefully we'll find out soon what the heck that whole oracle spaz was about that Rachel had. Some sort of old woman yelling "free me" through the oracle. Strange. Alright, see you soon, guys.
有言しよう。
Play exam. Play as time goes by.
What the fuck have you done lately?
Play exam. Play as time goes by.
What are you doing up?
Well,
I couldn't sleep.
good evening then. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they face. Is it always that? My tangible wishes are just out of reach. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they fade.
My tangible wishes are just out of reach.
やれやれ。退屈だと言って何も行動せず、刺激を求める割には挑戦しない。
Feelings that don't stay. Feelings that don't stay. Feelings that don't stay.
いいかい、埼玉市。人生は当てのない旅だよ。新しい景色を見るためには自分で道を切り開くしかないんだ。
Is it always that? Is it always that? My tangible wishes are just out of reach. Are just out of reach. Is it always that? Is it always that?
We're in. We're live. So,
Submerge the device in liquid, even partially. Most
this should be fun. I should probably leave for this, huh? This seems kind of dangerous. You guys don't do this without me. Uh-oh. Oh. Let's do it. Yeah.
Be gone, thought.
Hello. Is there grapefruit in real life? Yeah, it's me. I'm that. How should... Oh, this is... this is kind of amazing and kind of dumb. Are you guys ready for this? Oh man. What a great ending. Alright, we're not done though. That's it.
All right. Welcome back, guys. Hope everybody's doing mighty fine. Mighty fine? No, for real. I hope everybody's doing well and had as excellent a break as I. I got myself a banana. I hope you do not mind. I'm going to chomp it down real quick before we get into this next chapter. And in case any of you were wondering, I am the dude that leaves this thing at the bottom. I'm pinching at the top like a true monkey, like a true chimp. Yeah, I got myself some tea. It's the Throat Tamer lavender tea. So I think that'll help out with my voice a little. Yeah, dude, seriously, I feel like my voice has been cracking way more often than usual. Oh, I'm sorry the stream is giving you trouble, May. If I could do something about that, I would. But thank you for the well wishes otherwise. Nice. What did you guys do during your break? Did you stretch? Did you stand up? Go outside, take a breath of fresh air? You were standing before break time. Heck. You have a standing desk? Nice. Cheers. Cheers, my friend. I'm cooking dinner after the stream. Which, I'm excited because I've been meaning to cook dinner for the past 2 nights. Like to do some meal prep and have some dinners prepared for the next few days. But I've been putting it off for 2 days. So, tonight I will actually get her done. Some Korean barbecue chicken. With some kind of pseudo fried rice. Lots of carrots, some bell pepper. Maybe some onion. I have to check if the onion is still good or not. I think I'll also have, like, I want to see if avocado would be good with it. I do not have... Bro, what you mean pseudo fry? I think I was just trying to get at that it's not real fried rice. It's gluten free. It'll be with the gluten-free soy sauce. I'm also not entirely sure how to fry rice, so I'll be looking it up, and it may or may not be fried. So I think instead of pseudo, I meant just may or may not be. Shoot, called me out. I think I put pseudo in front of a lot of things. Just because I like the add-on. It just sounds nice, you know? I am a pseudo chimp. True. Rice in of itself is gluten-free, but it can be made glutinous. Trying to. We'll see. Dude, I gotta eat up these bananas quick. They're at like the perfect state right now, but that means in a few days they're gonna go bad. And I have a terrible tendency of letting them go bad before I actually finish them all. Which is why I opted to buy smaller bananas this time. I tried to find like a clump that wasn't like a huge bunch of them. Regardless. Sorry, thank you for hanging out with me while I finished up that banana. That banana. Banana nana. Now, we can get back to our story. Alright, settle in, folks. And let's find out. Oh, never mind. We will not be finding out what what happened with Rachel Elizabeth Dare's random oracle spats, because we will we're moving on to Leo's perspective. Hey, nice. So the nice. So the Franker Z, or the Better TTV emotes that I've activated work for the stream. That's exciting. Who is it? Sorry, did you hear the did you hear the doorbell? Monkey lick. Yeah, I got that one. Let's go. I have a fair amount of the ayaya. Is that how you say it? Ayaya. Ayaya. I don't know if I have Pepe. Nope. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love Pepe. I'm not as big a fan. You know, shun me if you wish, but I'm not a big fan of Pepe. I'd rather have other ones. Let me see. Maybe I can put the ones that are available down in the the section below. No cat jam. I can add that one if you really want it. Here, I'll make a note for myself. Add cat jam. Alright, speak now if there's any other ones that you really need or really want. I'm making a list. Speak now or forever hold your peace. You want Party Kirby? I can get down with Barbie Curdy. I do be making a list. I do be checking it twice. Party Kirby. I know, I think one of my favorites that I put in there. Yeah. Look at that little guy. I love him so much. Oh no! Yeah, there's spaces in between. There he is. Yeah. Give me all the dittos, please. You just be grooving. Alright. Alright, so, unless there's any others that you really want me to add, I'll be moving on to the next chapter. So, get comfy, get cozy, and get your butt ready to hear a little story. Because it is story time. So, this is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. 5. Leo. Leo's tour was going great until he learned about the dragon. The archer dude, Will Solis, seemed pretty cool. Everything he showed Leo was so amazing, it should have been illegal. Real Greek warships moored at the beach that sometimes had practice fights with flaming arrows and explosives. Sweet! Arts and crafts sessions where you could make sculptures with chainsaws and blowtorches. Leo was like, sign me up! The woods were stocked with dangerous monsters, and no one should ever go in alone. Nice! And the camp was overflowing with fine-looking girls. Leo didn't quite understand the whole related to the gods business, but he hoped that didn't mean he was cousins with all these ladies. That would suck. At the very least, he wanted to check out those underwater girls in the lake again. They were definitely worth drowning for. Will showed him the cabins, the dining pavilion, and the sword arena. Do I get a sword? Leo asked. Do I get a sword? Leo asked. Will glanced at him like he found the idea disturbing. You'll probably make your own, seeing as you're in Cabin 9. Yeah. What's up with that? Vulcan? Usually we don't call the gods by their Roman names, Will said. The original names are Greek. Your dad is Hephaestus. Festus? Leo had heard somebody say that before, but he was still dismayed. Sounds like the god of cowboys. Hephaestus, Will corrected. God of blacksmiths and fire. Leo had heard that too, but he was trying not to think about it. The god of fire. Seriously? Considering what happened to his mom, it seemed like a sick joke. So, the flaming hammer over my head? Leo said. Good thing or bad thing? Will took a while to answer. You were claimed almost immediately. That's usually good. But that rainbow pony dude, Butch, he mentioned a curse. Look, it's nothing. Since Cabin 9's last head counselor died... Died? Like, painfully? I ought to let your bunkmates tell you about it. Yeah. Where are my home dogs? Shouldn't their counselor be giving me the VIP tour? Hey, he can't. You'll see why. Will forged ahead before Leo could ask anything else. Whew. Curses and death, Leo said to himself. This just gets better and better. Oh, curses and death, Leo said to himself. This just gets better and better. He was halfway across the green when he spotted his old babysitter, and she was not the kind of person he expected to see at a demigod camp. Leo froze in his tracks. "What's wrong?" Will asked. "Tia Claudia. Auntie Claudia. That's what she'd called her. That's what she'd called herself, but Leo hadn't seen her since he was 5 years old. She was just standing there, in the shadow of a big white cabin at the end of the green, watching him. She wore her black linen widow's dress, with a black shawl pulled over her hair. Her face hadn't changed. Leathery skin, piercing dark eyes. Her withered hands were like claws. She looked ancient, but no different than Leo remembered. "That old lady," Leo said. "What's she doing here?" Will tried to follow his gaze. "What old lady?" "Dude. The old lady? The one in the black? How many old ladies do you see over there?" Will frowned. "I think you've had a long day, Leo. The mist could be playing tricks on your mind. How about we head straight to your cabin now?" Leo wanted to protest, but when he looked back toward the big white cabin, Tia Claudia was gone. He was sure she'd been there, almost as if thinking about his mom had summoned Claudia back from the past. And that wasn't good, because Tia Claudia had tried to kill him. Just messing with you, man." Leo pulled some gears and levers from his pockets and started fiddling with them to calm his nerves. He couldn't have everybody at camp thinking he was crazy. At least, not crazy than he really was. "Let's go see Cabin 9, he said. "I'm in the mood for a good curse." From the outside, the Festus cabin looked like an oversized RV with shiny metal walls and metal slated windows. The entrance was like a bank vault door, circular and several feet thick. It opened with lots of brass gears turning and hydraulic pistons blowing smoke. Leo whistled. "They've got a steampunk theme going on, huh? Inside, the cabin seemed deserted. "They got a steampunk theme going on, huh?" Goodness, dude, I'm struggling with Leo's voice. I have it in my mind what I'm wanting to go for with him. I'm struggling to get it out. Inside, the cabin seemed deserted. Steel bunks were folded against the walls like high-tech Murphy beds. Each had a digital control panel, blinking LED lights, glowing gems, and interlocking gears. Leo figured each camper had his own combination lock to release his bed, and there was probably an alcove behind it with storage, maybe some traps to keep out unwanted visitors. At least, that's the way Leo would have designed it. A fire pole came down from the second floor, even though the cabin didn't appear to have a second floor from the outside. A circular staircase led down into some kind of basement. The walls were lined with every kind of power tool Leo could imagine, plus a huge assortment of knives, swords, and other implements of destruction. A large workbench overflowed with scrap metal, screws, bolts, washers, nails, rivets, and a million other machine parts. Leo had a strong urge to shovel them all into his pockets. He loved that kind of stuff. But he'd need 100 more coats to fit it all. Looking around, He could almost imagine he was back in his mom's machine shop. Not the weapons, maybe, but the tools, the piles of scrap, the smell of grease and metal and hot engines. She would have loved this place. He pushed that thought away. He didn't like painful memories. Keep moving. That was his motto. Don't dwell on things. Don't stay in one place too long. It was the only way to stay ahead of the sadness. He picked a long implement from the wall. A weed whacker? What's the god of fire want with a weed whacker? A voice in the shadows said, "You'd be surprised." At the back of the room, one of the bunk beds was occupied. A curtain of dark camouflage material retracted, and Leo could see the guy who'd been invisible a second before. It was hard to tell much about him, as he was covered in a body cast. His head was wrapped in gauze except for his face, which was puffy and bruised. He looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy after a beatdown. Jake Mason," the guy said. "I'd shake your hand, but..." "Yeah," Leo said. "Don't get up." The guy cracked a smile and winced like it hurt to move his face. Leo wondered what had happened to him, but he was afraid to ask. "Welcome to Camp 9, or Cabin 9, Jake said. "Been almost a year since we had any new kids. I'm head counselor, for now." "For now?" Leo asked. Will Solace cleared his throat. "So, where is everybody, Jake?" "Down at the forges," Jake said wistfully. "They're working on... you know, that problem." "Oh," Will changed the subject. "So, you got a spare bed for Leo?" Jake studied Leo, sizing him up. "You believe in curses, Leo? Or ghosts?" "I just saw my evil babysitter, Tia Claudia," Leo thought. "She's got to be dead after all these years. I can't go a day without remembering my mom and that machine shop fire. Don't talk to me about ghosts, Doughboy." But aloud, he said, "Ghosts? Nah, I'm cool. A storm spirit chucked me down the Grand Canyon this morning. But you know, all in a day's work, right?" Jake nodded. "That's good. 'Cause I'll give you the best bed in the cabin. Beckendorf's." "Whoa, Jake," Will said. "You sure?" Jake called out. "Bunk 1A, please." The whole cabin rumbled. A circular section of the floor spiraled open like a camera lens, and a full-size bed popped up. The bronze frame had a built-in game station at the footboard, a stereo system in the headboard, a glass door refrigerator mounted into the base, and a whole bunch of control panels running down the side. Leo jumped right in and lay back with arms behind his head. "Yeah, I can handle this." "It retracts into a private room below," Jake said. "Oh, heck yes," Leo said. "See y'all. I'll be down in the Leo cave. Which button do I press?" "Hold on," Will protested. "You guys have private underground rooms?" Jake probably would have smiled if it didn't hurt so much. "We got a lot of secrets, Will. You Apollo guys can't have all the fun. Our campers have been excavating the tunnel system under Cabin 9 for almost a century. We still haven't found the end. Anyway, Leo, if you don't mind sleeping in a dead man's bed, it's yours. Suddenly, Leo didn't feel like kicking back. He sat up, careful not to touch any of the buttons. Counselor who died. This was his bed? Yeah, Jake said. Charles Beckendorf. Leo imagined saw blades coming through the mattress, or maybe a grenade sewn inside the pillow. He didn't, die in this bed, did he? Nah, Jake said. In the Titan War last summer. The Titan War, Leo repeated, which has nothing to do with this very fine bed? The Titans, Will said, like Leo was an idiot. The big powerful guys that ruled the world before the gods. They tried to make a comeback last summer. Their leader, Kronos, built a palace on top of Mount Tom in California. Their armies came to New York and almost destroyed Mount Olympus. A lot of demigods died trying to stop them. I'm guessing this wasn't on the news, Leo said. It seemed like a fair question, but Will shook his head in disbelief. Didn't hear about Mount St. Helens erupting, or the freak storms across the country, or that building collapsing in St. Louis? Leo shrugged. Last summer, he'd been on the run from another foster home. Then a truancy officer caught him in New Mexico, and the court sentenced him to the nearest correctional facility, the Wilderness School. Guess I was busy? Doesn't matter, Jake said. You were lucky to miss it. The thing is, Beckendorf was one of our first casualties. And ever since then... Your cabin's been cursed, Leo guessed. Jake didn't answer. Then again, the dude was in a body cast. That was an answer. Leo started noticing little things that he hadn't seen before. An explosion mark on the wall. A stain on the floor that might have been oil or blood. Broken swords and smashed machines kicked into the corners of the room. Maybe out of frustration. The place did feel unlucky. Jake sighed half-heartedly. Well, I should get some sleep. I hope you like it here, Leo. It used to be really nice. He closed his eyes. The camouflage curtain drew itself across the bed. Come on, Leo, Will said. I'll take you to the forges. As they were leaving, Leo looked back at his new bed. He could almost imagine a dead counselor sitting there. Another ghost who wasn't going to leave Leo alone. Six. Leo. How did he die? Leo asked. I mean Beckendorf. Will Solis trudged ahead. Explosion. Beckendorf and Percy Jackson blew up a cruise ship full of monsters. Beckendorf didn't make it out. There was that name again. Percy Jackson. Annabeth's missing boyfriend. That guy must have been into everything around here, Leo thought. So, Beckendorf was pretty popular, Leo said. I mean, before he blew up? He was awesome, Will agreed. It was hard on the whole camp when he died. Jake, he became head counselor in the middle of the war. Same as I did, actually. Jake did his best, but he never wanted to be a leader. He just likes building stuff. Then, after the war, things started to go wrong. Cabin 9's chariot blew up. Their automatons went haywire. Their inventions started to malfunction. It was like a curse. And eventually people started calling it that. The curse of Cabin 9. Then Jake had his accident, and which had something to do with the problem he mentioned? Leo guessed. They're working on it, Will said without enthusiasm. And here we are. The forge looked like a steam-powered locomotive. Had smashed into the Greek Parthenon, and they had fused together. White marble columns lined the soot-stained walls. Chimneys pumped smoke over an elaborate gabble carved with a bunch of gods and monsters. The building sat at the edge of a stream, with several water wheels turning a series of bronze gears. Leo heard machinery grinding inside, fires roaring, and hammers ringing on anvils. They stepped through the doorway, and a dozen guys and girls who'd been working on various projects all froze. The noise died down to a roar. The noise died down to the roar of the forge and the click, 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 click of gears and levers. "Sup, guys?" Will said. "This is your new brother, Leo... What was your last name?" "Valdez." Leo looked around at the other campers. Was he really related to all of them? Or Valdez? Leo looked around the other campers. At the other campers. Was he really related to all of them? His cousins came from some big families, but he'd always just had his mom. Until she died. Kids came up and started shaking hands and introducing themselves. Their names blurred together. Shane, Christopher, Nysa, Harley. Yeah, like the motorcycle. Leo knew he'd never keep everybody straight. Too many of them. Too overwhelming. None of them looked like the others. All different face types, skin tone, hair color, and height. You'd never think, hey, look, it's the Festus bunch. But they all had powerful hands, rough with calluses and stained with engine grease. Even little Harley, who couldn't have been more than 8, looked like he could go 6 rounds with Chuck Norris without breaking a sweat. And all the kids shared a sad kind of seriousness. Their shoulders slumped, like life had beaten them down pretty hard. Several looked like they'd been physically beaten up, too. Leo counted 2 arm slings, 1 pair of crutches, an eye patch, 6 ace bandages, and about 7,000 band-aids. "Well, all right," Leo said. "I hear this is the party cabin." Nobody laughed. They all just stared at him. Will Solis patted Leo's shoulder. I'll leave you guys to get acquainted. Somebody show Leo to dinner when it's time." "I got it," one of the girls said. Nisa, Leo remembered. She wore camo pants, a tank top that showed off her buff arms, and a red bandana over a mop of dark hair. Except for the smiley face bandana on her chin, she looked like one of those female action heroes. Like any second, she was going to grab a machine gun and start mowing down evil aliens. Cool, Leo said. Always wanted a sister who could beat me up. Nisa didn't smile. Come on, Joker boy. I'll show you around. Leo was no stranger to workshops. He'd grown up around grease monkeys and power tools. His mom used to joke that his first pacifier was a lug wrench. But he'd never seen any place like the camp forge. One guy was working on a battle axe. He kept testing the blade on a slab of concrete. Each time he swung, the axe cut into the slab like it was warm cheese. But the guy looked unsatisfied and went back to honing the edge. What's he planning to kill with that thing? Leo asked Nisa. A battleship? What's he planning to kill with that thing? Leo asked Nisa. A battleship? You never know. Even with celestial bronze. That's the metal? She nodded. Mined from Mount Olympus itself. Extremely rare. Anyway, it usually disintegrates monsters on contact, but big powerful ones have notoriously tough hides. Dragons, for instance. You mean dragons? Similar species. You'll learn the difference in monster fighting class. Monster fighting class? Yeah. Already got my black belt in that. She didn't crack a smile. Leo hoped she wasn't this serious all the time. His dad's side of the family had to have some sense of humor, right? They passed a couple of guys making a bronze wind-up toy. At least, that's what it looked like. It was a 6-inch tall centaur, half man, half horse, armed with a miniature bow. One of the campers cranked the centaur's tail, and it whirred to life. It galloped across the table, yelling, Die, mosquito! Die, mosquito! And shooting everything in sight. Apparently this had happened before, because everybody knew to hit the floor, except Leo. 6 needle-sized arrows embedded themselves in his shirt, or a camper grabbed a hammer and smashed the centaur to pieces. God, stupid curse. The camper waved his hammer at the sky. I just want a magic bug killer. Is that so much to ask? Ouch, Leo said. Nisa pulled the needles out of his shirt. You're fine. Let's move on before they rebuild it. Leo rubbed his chest as they walked. That sort of thing happen a lot? Lately, Nisa said. Everything we build turns into junk. The curse. The curse. The curse? Nisa frowned. I don't believe in curses. But something's wrong. And if we don't figure out the dragon problem, it's gonna get even worse. The dragon? The dragon problem? Leo hoped she was talking about a miniature dragon. Maybe one that killed cockroaches? But he got the feeling he wasn't going to be so lucky. Nisa took him over to a big wall map that a couple of girls were studying. The map showed the camp. A semicircle of land with Long Island Sound on the north shore. The woods to the west, cabins to the east, and a ring of hills to the south. It's got to be in the hills, the first girl said. We looked in the hills, the second argued. The woods are a better hiding place. But we already set up traps and... Hold up, Leo said. You guys lost a dragon? A real, full-size dragon? It's a bronze dragon, Nisa said. But yeah, it's a life-size automaton. Hephaestus Cabin built it years ago. Then it was lost in the woods until a few summers back, and Beckendorf found it in pieces and rebuilt it. It's been helping protect the camp, but... it's a little unpredictable. Unpredictable, Leo said. Goes haywire and smashes down cabins, sets people on fire, tries to eat the centaurs, or tries to eat the satyrs. That's pretty unpredictable. Nisa nodded. Beckendorf was the only one who could control it. Then he died, and the dragon just got worse and worse. Finally, it went berserk and ran off. Occasionally, it shows up, demolishes something, and runs away again. Everyone expects us to find it and destroy it and... Destroy it? Leo was appalled. You've got a life-size bronze dragon, and you want to destroy it? It breathes fire, Nisa explained. It's deadly and out of control. But it's a dragon. Dude, that's like so awesome. Can't you try talking to it? Controlling it? We tried. Jake Mason tried. You saw how well that worked. Leo thought about Jake, wrapped in a body cast, lying alone on his bunk. Still, there's no other option. Nisa turned to the other girls. Let's try more traps in the woods. Here, and here. Bait them with 30 weight motor oil. The dragon drinks that? Leo asked. Yeah. Nisa sighed regretfully. He used to like it with a little Tabasco sauce right before bed. And if he springs a trap, we can come in with acid sprayers. Should melt through his hide. And we get metal cutters and finish the job. They all looked sad. Leo realized they didn't want to kill the dragon any more than he did. Guys, he said, there has to be another way. Nisa looked doubtful, but a few campers stopped what they were doing and drifted over to hear the conversation. Like what? One asked. The thing breathes fire. Can't even get close. Fire, Leo thought. Oh man. The things he could tell them about fire. But he had to be careful, even if these were his brothers and sisters. Especially if he had to live with them. Well... He hesitated. Hephaestus is the god of fire, right? So, don't any of you have, like, fire resistance or something? Don't any of you guys have fire resistance or something? Nobody acted as if it was a crazy question, which was a relief. But Nisa shook her head gravely. It's a Cyclops ability, Leo. Then we got children of Hephaestus. We're good with our hands. We're builders, craftsmen, weaponsmiths, stuff like that. Not immune to fire. Leo's shoulders slumped. Oh. A guy in black said, "Well, a long time ago."
Yeah, okay,
Issa conceded.
a long time ago, some children of Hephaestus were born with power over fire. But the ability was very, very rare, and always dangerous. No demigod like that has been born in centuries. The last one...
She looked at one of the other kids for help.
1666, the girl offered. A guy named Thomas Fainor? He started the Great Fire of London, destroyed most of the city. Right,
Nisa said.
when a child of Hephaestus like that appears, it usually means something catastrophic is about to happen. And we don't need any more catastrophes.
Leo tried to keep his face clear of emotion, which wasn't his strong suit.
I guess I see your point.
Too bad, though. If you could resist flames, you could get close to the dragon.
And it would kill you with its claws and fangs,
Nisa said.
or simply step on you. No, we've got to destroy it. Trust me, if anyone could figure out an answer.
She didn't finish, but Leo got the message. This was the cabin's big test. If they could do something only Beckendorf could do, if they could subdue the dragon without killing it, then maybe their curse would be lifted. But they were stumped for ideas. Any camper who figured out how would be a hero. A conch horn blew in the distance. Campers started putting up their tools and projects. Leo hadn't even realized it was getting so late. But he looked through the windows and saw the sun going down. His ADHD did that to him sometimes. If he was bored, 50-minute class seemed like 6 hours. If he was interested in something, like touring a demigod camp, hours slipped away and bam! The day was over.
The dinner,
Nisa said.
Come on, Leo. Up at the pavilion, right? Up at the pavilion, right?
She nodded.
You guys, go ahead, Leo said. Can you... give me a second?
Nisa hesitated, and her expression softened.
Sure. It's a lot to process. I remember my first day. Come up when you're ready. Just don't touch anything. Almost every project in here can kill you if you're not careful.
No touchy, Leo promised. His cabin mates filed out of the forge. Soon, Leo was alone with the sounds of the bellows, the water wheels, and small machines clicking and whirring. He stared at the map of camp, the locations where his newfound siblings were going to put up traps to catch a dragon. It was wrong. Plain wrong. Very rare, he thought, and always dangerous. He held out his hands and studied his fingers. They were long and thin, not calloused like the other Hephaestus campers. Leo had never been the biggest nor the strongest kid. He'd survived in tough neighborhoods, tough schools, tough foster homes by using his wits. He was the class clown, the court jester, because he'd learned early that if you cracked jokes and pretended you weren't scared, you usually didn't get beat up. Usually. Even the baddest gangster kids would tolerate you, keep you around for laughs. Plus, humor was a good way to hide the pain. And if that didn't work, there was always plan B. Run away. Over and over. There was a plan C, but he promised himself never to use it again. He felt an urge to try it now. Something he hadn't done since the accident. Since his mom's death. He extended his fingers and felt them tingle, like they were waking up. Pins and needles. Then flames flickered to life, curls of red-hot fire dancing across his palm. Shoot, dude. Woo! Now we get Jason's side of the story. Oh! Very rare, huh? Always brings calamity, huh? God. Yikes, dude. Big yikes. Alright guys, we got one more chapter. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it because I want to end in about 30 minutes so that I can go and make my dinner. And I think this chapter... Oh, it's not too terribly long. Yeah, so we'll chat about the chapters after this chapter. 7. Jason. As soon as Jason saw the house, he knew he was a dead man.
Here we are.
Drew said cheerfully.
The big house. Camp headquarters.
It didn't look threatening. Just a 4-story manor, painted baby blue with white trim. The wraparound porch had lounge chairs, a card table, and an empty wheelchair. Wind chimes shaped like nymphs turned into trees as they spun. Jason could imagine old people coming here for summer vacation, sitting on the porch and sipping prune juice while they watched the sunset. Still, the windows seemed to glare down at him like angry eyes. The wide-open doorway looked ready to swallow him. On the highest gable, a bronze ingle... Ingle? Ooh! A bronze eagle. Weather vane. A bronze eagle weather vane spun in the wind and pointed straight in his direction, as if telling him to turn around. Every molecule in Jason's body told him he was on enemy ground. I am not supposed to be here, he said. Drew circled her arm through his.
Oh, please. You're perfect here, sweetie. Believe me, I've seen a lot of heroes.
Drew smelled like Christmas. A strange combination of pine and nutmeg. Jason wondered if she always smelled like that, or if it was some kind of special perfume for the holidays. Her pink eyeliner was really distracting. Every time she blinked, he felt compelled to look at her. Maybe that was the point, to show off her warm brown eyes. She was pretty, no doubt about that. But she made Jason feel uncomfortable. He slipped his arm away as gently as he could. Look, I appreciate...
Is it that girl? Drew pouted. Oh, please, you are not dating the dumpster queen.
You mean Piper? Jason wasn't sure how to answer. He didn't think he'd ever seen Piper before today, but he felt strangely guilty about it. He knew he shouldn't be in this place. He shouldn't befriend these people, and certainly he shouldn't date one of them. Still, Piper had been holding his hand when he woke up on the bus. She believed that she was his girlfriend. She'd been brave on the skywalk, fighting those Venti. And when Jason had caught her in midair, they'd held each other face to face, he couldn't pretend he wasn't a little tempted to kiss her. But that wasn't right. He didn't even know his own story. He couldn't play with her emotions like that. Drew rolled her eyes.
Let me help you decide, sweetie. You can do better. Guy with your looks and obvious talent.
She wasn't looking at him, though. She was staring at a spot right above his head. You were waiting for a sign. You guessed. Like what popped over Leo's head?
What? No? Well, yeah. I mean, from what I've heard, you're pretty powerful, right? You're going to be important at camp. So I figure your parent will claim you right away. And I'd love to see that. I want to be with you every step of the way. So, is your dad or mom the god? Please tell me it's not your mom. Would hate it if you were an Aphrodite kid.
Why?
Need to be my half-brother, silly. You can't date somebody from your own cabin. Yuck.
But aren't all the gods related? Jason asked. So isn't everyone here your cousin or something?
Aren't you cute? Sweetie, the godly side of your family doesn't count except for your parent. So anybody from another cabin, they're fair game. So who's your godly parent? Mom or dad?
As usual, Jason didn't have an answer. He looked up, but no glowing sign popped above his head. At the top of the big house, the weather vane was still pointing his direction, that bronze eagle glaring as if to say, "Turn around, kid, while you still can." Then he heard footsteps on the porch. No, not footsteps. Hooves.
Chiron!
Drew called.
This is Jason. He's totally awesome.
Jason backed up so fast he almost tripped. Rounding the corner of the porch was a man on horseback. Except he wasn't on horseback. He was part of the horse. From the waist up, he was human, with curly brown hair and a well-trimmed beard. He wore a t-shirt that said, "World's Best Centaur," and had a quiver and bow strapped to his back. His head was so high, he had to duck to avoid the porch lights, because from the waist down, he was a white stallion. Chiron started to smile at Jason. Then the color drained from his face. "You." The centaur's eyes flared like a cornered animal. "You should be dead. You should be dead." Chiron ordered Jason, well, invited, but it sounded like an order, to come inside the house. He told Drew to go back to her cabin, which Drew didn't look too happy about. The centaur trotted over to the empty wheelchair on the porch. He slipped off his quiver and bow and backed up to the chair, which opened like a magician's box. Chiron gingerly stepped into it with his back legs and began scrunching himself into a space that should have been much too small. Jason imagined a truck's reversing noise. Beep, 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 as the centaur's lower half disappeared into the chair, and the chair folded up, popping out a set of fake human legs covered in a blanket. So Chiron appeared to be a regular mortal guy in a wheelchair. "Follow me," he ordered. "We have lemonade." The living room looked like it had been swallowed by a rainforest. Grapevines curved up the walls and across the ceiling, which Jason found a little strange. He didn't think plants grew like that inside, especially in the winter. But these were leafy green and bursting with bunches of red grapes. Leather couches faced a stone fireplace with a crackling fire. Wedged in one corner, an old-style Pac-Man arcade game beeped and blinked. Mounted on the walls was an assortment of masks. Smiley, frowny, Greek theater types. Feathered Mardi Gras masks. Venetian Carnival masks with big beak-like noses. Carved wooden masks from Africa. Grapevines grew through their mouths, so it seemed that they had leafy tongues. Some had red grapes bulging through the eye holes. But the weirdest thing was the stuffed leopard's head above the fireplace. It looked so real, its eyes seemed to follow Jason. Then it snarled, and Jason nearly leapt out of his skin. "Now, Seymour," Chiron chided. "Jason is friendly. Behave yourself." "That thing is alive," Jason said. "Oh." Chiron rummaged through the side pocket of his wheelchair and brought out a package of sausages. He threw one to the leopard, who snapped it up and licked his lips. "You must excuse the decor. You must excuse the decor," Chiron said. "Oh, this was a parting gift from our old director before he was recalled to Mount Olympus. He thought it would help us to remember him. Mr. D has a strange sense of humor." "Mr. D," Jason said. "Dionysus." "Mm-hmm." Chiron poured lemonade, though his hands were trembling a little. "As for Seymour, well, Mr. D liberated him from a Long Island garage sale. The leopard is Mr. D's sacred animal, you see. Mr. D was appalled that someone would stuff such a noble creature. He decided to grant it life, on the assumption that life as a mountain head was better than no life at all. I must say, it's a kinder fate than Seymour's previous owner got." Seymour bared his fangs and sniffed the air, as if hunting for more sausages. "If he's only a head," Jason said, "where does the food go when he eats?" "Better not to ask," Chiron said. "Please, sit." Jason took some lemonade, though his stomach was fluttering. Chiron sat back in his wheelchair and tried for a smile, but Jason could tell it was forced. The old man's eyes were as deep and dark as wells. "So, Jason," he said, "would you mind telling me, where you're from?" I wish I knew. Jason told him the whole story, from waking up on the bus to crash landing at Camp Half-Blood. He didn't see any point in hiding the details, and Chiron was a good listener. He didn't react to the story, other than to nod encouragingly for more. When Jason was done, the old man sipped his lemonade. I see. And you must have questions for me. No doubt. Only one, Jason admitted. What did you mean when you said that... When you said that I should be dead? Chiron studied him with concern, as if he expected Jason to burst into flames. My boy, do you know what those marks on your arm mean? The color of your shirt? Do you remember anything? Jason looked at the tattoo on his forearm. SPQR. The eagle. 12 straight lines. No, he said. Nothing. Nothing. Do you know where you are? Chiron asked. Do you understand what this place is? And who I am? You're Chiron the Centaur, Jason said. I'm guessing you're the same one from the old stories, who used to train the Greek heroes like Hercules. This is a camp for demigods, children of the Olympian gods. So? You believe those gods still exist? Yes, Jason said immediately. I mean, I don't think we should worship them or sacrifice chickens to them or anything, but they're still around because they're a powerful part of civilization. They move from country to country as the center of power shifts, like they moved from ancient Greece to Rome. I couldn't have said it better. Something about Chiron's voice had changed. So, you already know the gods are real. You've already been claimed, haven't you? Maybe, Jason answered. I'm not really sure. Seymour the leopard snarled. Chiron waited, and Jason realized what had just happened. The centaur had switched to another language, and Jason had understood, automatically answering in the same tongue. Quais erat? Jason faltered, then made a conscious effort to speak English. What was that? What was that? You know Latin, Chiron observed. Most demigods recognize a few phrases. Of course, it's in their blood, but not as much as ancient Greek. None can speak Latin fluently without practice. Jason tried to wrap his mind around what that meant, but too many pieces were missing from his memory. He still had the feeling that he shouldn't be here. It was wrong and dangerous. But at least Chiron wasn't threatening. In fact, the centaur seemed concerned for him. Afraid for his safety, in fact. The fire reflected in Chiron's eyes, making them dance fretfully. I taught your namesake, you know. I taught your namesake, you know. The original Jason. He had a hard path. I've seen many heroes come and go. Occasionally, they have happy endings. Mostly, they don't. It breaks my heart. Like losing a child every time one of my pupils die. But you are not like any pupil I've ever taught. Your presence here could be a disaster. Thanks, Jason said. You must be an inspiring teacher. I am sorry, my boy, but it's true. I had hoped that after Percy's success... Percy Jackson, you mean? Percy Jackson, you mean? And best boyfriend? The one who's missing? Chiron nodded. I hoped that after he succeeded in the Titan War, saved Mount Olympus, we might have some peace. We might be able to enjoy one final triumph, a happy ending, perhaps retire quietly. I should have known better. The last chapter approaches. The last chapter approaches, just as it did before. The worst is yet to come. In the corner, the arcade game made a sad pew 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 pew, like Pac-Man had just died. Okay, Jason said. So, last chapter happened before, worse yet to come. Sounds fun, but can we go back to the part where I'm supposed to be dead? I don't like that part. I'm afraid I cannot explain, my boy. I swore on the river Styx and on all things sacred that I would never. Chiron frowned. But you're here, in violation of the same oath. That too should not be possible. I don't understand. Who would have done such a thing? Who? Seymour the Lower. Seymour the leopard howled. His mouth froze, half open. The arcade game stopped beeping. The fire stopped crackling. Its flames hardened like red glass. The masks stared down silently at Jason with their grotesque grape eyes and leafy tongues. Chiron? Jason asked. What's going... The old centaur had frozen too. Jason jumped off the couch, but Chiron kept staring at the same spot, his mouth open mid-sentence. His eyes didn't blink. His chest didn't move. Jason, a voice said. For a horrible moment, he thought the leopard had spoken. Then dark mist boiled out of Seymour's mouth, and an even worse thought occurred to Jason. Storm spirits. He grabbed the golden coin from his pocket. With a quick flip, it changed into a sword. The mist took the form of a woman in black robes. Her face was hooded, but her eyes glowed in the darkness. Over her shoulders, she wore a goatskin cloak. Jason wasn't sure how he knew it was goatskin, but he recognized it and knew it was important. Would you attack your patron? The woman chided. Her voice echoed in Jason's head. Lower your sword. Lower your sword. Who are you? He demanded. How did you? Our time is limited, Jason. My prison grows stronger by the hour. It took me a full month to gather enough energy to work even the smallest magic through its bonds. I've managed to bring you here, but now I have little time left, and even less power. This may be the last time I can speak with you. You're in prison? Jason decided maybe he wouldn't lower his sword. Look, I don't know you, and you're not my patron. You know me, she insisted. I have known you since your birth. I don't remember. I don't remember anything. No, you don't, she agreed. That also was necessary. Long ago, your father gave me your life as a gift to placate my anger. He named you Jason, after my favorite mortal. You belong to me. Whoa, Jason said. I don't belong to anyone. Now is the time to pay your debt, she said. Find my prison. Free me, or their king will rise from the earth, and I will be destroyed. And you will never retrieve your memory. Is that a threat? You took my memories. You have until sunset on the solstice, Jason. 4 short days. Do not fail me. The dark woman dissolved, and the mist curled into the leopard's mouth. Time unfroze. Seymour's howl turned into a cough, like he'd sucked in a hairball. The fire crackled to life, the arcade machine beeped, and Chiron said, Would dare bring you here. Would dare bring you here. Probably the lady in the mist, Jason offered. Chiron looked up in surprise. Weren't you just sitting? Why do you have your sword drawn? Why do you have your sword drawn? I hate to tell you this, Jason said, but I think your leopard just ate a goddess. He told Chiron about the frozen-in-time visit, the dark, misty figure that appeared in Seymour's mouth. Oh dear, Chiron murmured. That does explain a lot. That does explain a lot. Then why don't you explain a lot to me? Jason said. Please. Before Chiron could say anything, footsteps reverberated on the porch outside. The front door blew open, and Annabeth and another girl, a redhead, burst in, dragging Piper between them. Piper's head lolled like she was unconscious. What happened? What happened? Jason rushed over. What's wrong with her? Eris cabin? Annabeth gasped, like they'd run all the way. Vision. Bad. The redhead girl looked up, and Jason saw that she'd been crying. I think... The redhead girl gulped. I think I may have killed her. Yo. Dude, come on. I like that I like that I could she be more vague? I know, man. And that's just the way the gods be. They cannot be clear. Their communication skills are the least godly thing about them. Man, and right on time too. It's just now 9 o'clock. Goodness, dude. I like how I hinted at, you know, like going to the break, I was like, oh, find out next time. You know, what's up with Rachel Elizabeth Dare's crazy oracle spasm yelling out to Piper, "Free me," in an old lady's voice. In a far-off old lady's voice. But now that we find out what happened, it just leaves us off at another cliffhanger. Come on. Come on. Hey. Bleh. Dang, dude, these chapters are good. It really, and like I said before, the fact that it changes perspectives, we get the chance to see what's going on in all three of their, you know, realms, in all three of their sides of the story. We get to know that something's up with Piper. You know, she had this vision that nobody else knows about, except the reader and Piper. We get to know that Leo can create fire with his hands. A trait of a son of Hephaestus that hasn't been seen in centuries. And we get to know, and we got to hear the conversation that Chiron and Jason had. You know, whereas before, if it was strictly from Percy's perspective, there's things like that we missed in the Percy Jackson books. You know, like how cool would it have been if those books were written like this, and we got the chance to hear more about like Grover's time. You know, Grover's time out in the wild searching for Pan, or if we got to, you know, know more about Annabeth's inner thoughts, like what she was going through throughout the books. I don't know, I feel like there's some potential there. I'm recognizing now though that one of the ways that they kind of substituted that in the old books, in the books prior, was dreams. Like the whole fact that we were able to see Grover in the Sea of Monsters being held captive by was it Prometheus? I don't remember his name exactly. I think it starts with a P. Might be Prometheus. Regardless, like the only reason why we got to see that Grover was being held captive was because, you know, Grover formed that empathy link, and he was able to dream up like what was happening to Grover. Do you guys have a favorite character so far? Leo, Piper, or Jason? You have a favorite of the bunch? For me, Leo is my favorite. It's either Leo or Piper. Leo gang. Let's go! Leo gang! I think I relate to him most too. Because I remember like growing up, I was much the same. I like to goof around a lot and do silly things with my voice and like make people smile and stuff like that. But you know, deep down it was in an effort to fit in and to avoid bullying and keep the pain at bay. Whoo! Oh yeah! Keeping that pain at bay. Gosh, yeah, that's why in those sections where for a brief moment, like he mentions that kind of stuff, like yeah, oh gosh. Honest to goodness, those two Leo chapters I think were my favorite of the bunch this session because let me see if I can find it. Yeah. You believe in curses, Leo, or ghosts? I saw my evil babysitter, Tia Claudia, Leo thought. She's got to be dead after all these years. I can't go a day without remembering my mom in that machine shot fire. Don't talk to me about ghosts, doughboy. Those brief moments where he gets sincere, like in his inner thoughts, it's so impactful. I'm in love with the Leo chapters. I'm with you, I'm with you, P-dubs. I almost called you Piper. My bad. My apologies. I'm with you, P-dubs. I'm with Leo gang. And poor Annabeth. I remember. Yeah, and it's still tearing at my heartstrings, dude. The fact that Percy is gone. Percy is gone. What happened? What happened? Apparently Percy went on some kind of mission? What mission was that? Ay, ay, ay. Well, shoot, dude. Yeah, I think the main things I wanted to mention was that I certainly relate to Leo. We're on a mission from God, baby. What do you think? You Blues Brother music? Is that the yeah? Or the one that starts with like yeah? The big yeah. You know what I'm talking about? I may have that wrong. It's like the perfect walking into the sunset song. That makes sense? Like a guitar riff and a dude just yelling, yeah! Soul Man? Frick, dude, I'm struggling. Yeah, it's not coming to me. I might look it up after the stream. Well, alright guys, it is getting a little bit late. At least in terms of I haven't had dinner yet. So I'm gonna go run, cook myself that din. And yeah, I think so tomorrow is the day I normally take off. But I don't know. I had some trouble over the weekend, you know, and I took Sunday off. So I may try to do a stream tomorrow. I'll keep you updated. If I do, it'll be either a late night stream or a early stream. We will see. We will see. I might do something fun, like some AI dungeon, or maybe play a video game. Do like a chill stream, since it is still like it's the day that I tend to take to be a day off, but might just try to do like a laid back stream with gaming or some AI dungeon. Alrighty. Cool beans. I'm hearing some crickets in the chat, so go ahead and sign off. Hit me with that outro music, DJ. So everyone, thank you so much for coming tonight. I love you bunches and bunches. Remember to take the merriment that we were able to form in our hearts tonight. Hold it close and let it set you at ease as you lay your head on your pillow tonight. And I hope it can help you to wake up with a smile and flourish in the next day. Stay merry, guys, and till next time, keep on swaying, my wildflowers. Alright, peace out.